So, the exotic items. What's the best way of obtaining them? Well, stick around because in this video I'm going to teach you exactly how to farm them. What's up, agents? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you my farming exotics guides for 1.6. So let's kick things off nice and quick. First thing I want to talk about is going to be your weekly rewards. Now this is very simple. All you need to do is head over to your mission overview, select your weekly assignment task, complete the 4 objectives, and you'll receive a weekly assignment cache. Now this is a guaranteed exotic and you can complete this once a week. The second one I want to talk about is field proficiency caches. Now the field proficiency cache can easily be received. All you need to do is once you pass level 30, complete your XP bar and you'll receive a field proficiency cache. Now this has got a probability of dropping an exotic, but it does work and I've been successful in the past. The third one I would like to talk about is going to be the legendary missions. Now since 1.6, legendary missions have been introduced to the game, and there is 3 missions which you can currently complete. The first one is Times Square, the second one is the Napalm production site, and the third one is the Warren Gate. Now all you need to do is complete these once a week. In each mission you'll receive an exotic cache, a guaranteed exotic cache. You can complete these once a week. Definitely worth doing. Now going back to the field proficiency caches, the easiest way I've found of farming the field proficiency caches is actually doing a mission repeatedly and actually having an optimized build for farming. So let's talk about the farming build. So as usual, I want to start this off with the gear pieces, and in particular the survivability. So the first one I'm going to choose is going to be the refresh mask, and now I've spoke about this time and time again on my builds. Refreshed, all healing is improved by 30% within the last health segment. This is such a unique talent, it's so strong, and obviously being so low stamina, this is going to help, and you're pretty much going to get an overheal every time you use a health, or if you use a med kit, you're going to get pretty much full health being at such a low stamina value. Now I also pair this in conjunction with prototype performance mods, which are the first aid self-aid heal of 6%. I've attached 4 of these on my knee pads, my backpack and my holster. Now these are obviously going to give me that increased bonus, which gives me 54% additional healing just from popping any type of healing, but I've covered that so much I'll stop going on about it. Now the next one is going to be the specialized backpack. The specialized backpack adds 200% of firearms and stamina. Now if you look at my firearms pool, you'll see I'm nearly at 9,000. I'm trying to get above 9,000 for this build. But this is pretty much good as it is. But what's going to happen with Specialized, it takes 200% of this pool, adds it to the skill power, and then it gets your electronics boost up there with your skill power, which is going to give you a nice health boost if any type of healing that you're going to apply through a skill type. So it's definitely worth taking the Specialized backpack. And the third one, which is everyone's favorite for 1.6, is the Nimble holster. Now you can't beat the Nimble holster. It heals 2% of max health for every 1 meter run in cover to cover during combat. As soon as you get yourself in combat, stick yourself on cover, run backwards, you'll heal yourself up. This is just a must take, and everyone should be running this in 1.6. I think it's so good, and I hope they don't nerf the shit out of it. So moving on. Next thing I want to talk about is going to be the damage for this build. I know you're looking thinking 9,000 firearms is enough damage. Well, we just want to make sure. So the vest I've gone for is the Reckless Vest, and it increases the damage by 8%, but it also increases incoming damage by 10%. You can ignore that increased incoming damage by 10% because you're going to try and use your Nimble and run backwards anyway away from the enemy when you're hurt, and you don't want to put yourself in a scenario where you are going to be trapped. And then moving on. Next one is going to be the gloves. Now, these are actually an exotic item, so it's kind of, you know, shouldn't really be putting these in the build, but you could run any type of gloves. The reason I've gone for the Schooled MC gloves is because the damage is increased by 16% when no set bonuses are activated. Because this is essentially a high-end build, this is going to be activated all the time. Now, you don't need to run these gloves. This is just for myself because I've already got them. You could run an alternative and it's not really going to make a difference to the build, but you want to try and get something aimed towards damage, so go for something like Savage, or if you've got the gloves already, equip the gloves. Now the most important item is the next one that I'm going to talk about, and it's going to be the Accomplished knee pads. Now what these give you is the rewards from the accolades are tripled. But what essentially happens is every time you land a series of headshots and the enemy dies, once you've completed that area and you've cleared the zone, all your accolades are tripled, so you'll see a huge increase in XP. So these are essential to the farming build. Get yourself a set of Accomplished. This is going to help you out massively, especially when you're farming. So finally, let's talk about what roles I've actually taken on each weapon, in each gear piece. So going on to the chest piece, you'll see here my major attribute is protection from elites, which is because this build is aimed at PvE. It's health, so I can get my toughness up as much as possible so I can have a little bit of tankiness. And then my minor is going to be the increased kill XP. Now this is essential. You need to pick up as much increased kill XP as you can across this build. You'll also notice in my prototype firearms mod, again, I've got a firearms, which is going to go in my firearms pool, but then I've got these purple mods, which gives you a 6% increased kill XP, and I've got 2 of these attached. So you can see already I'm trying to get as much increased kill XP. So jumping down, going to my mask, you'll see my major attribute is enemy armor damage. Again, I'm trying to do as much damage to PvEs. So having this enemy armor damage is going to strip them a lot quicker, and it's going to give you them one-shot headshots. And then the minor is going to be the increased kill XP. Again, another prototype firearms mod of increased kill XP of 6%. And the knee pads, the major attribute is critical hit damage, because I do have crit hit on this, and I also have crit hit chance on this. So having this crit hit damage is nice, and then it's not essential, but it's nice. The minor attributes is going to be the shock resistance, damage to elites, and then increased kill XP again. So you can see the bottom 2 are the most critical, the damage to elites of 12%, and then the increased kill XP. Then when you look at the prototype firearms mod, again, I've got the increased kill XP, and then prototype performance mod is the first aid heal with the refresh mask. Jumping up to the backpack, and you'll see here my major attribute is the health. I'm trying to put as much as I can into sort of a really squishy build, but I'm trying to have some sort of tankiness. Then I've got the minor attribute as the 51% ammo capacity. This is nice because you will burn through ammo fairly quickly with this particular build. Now your prototype firearms mod, again with the increased kill XP, and then the prototype performance mod is going to be the first aid self heal paired with the refresh. Jumping down, obviously I'll skip over the gloves. The gloves aren't really important. Ideally, go for something that's got damage. Get the MC skull gloves and try and get yourself marksman damage, or if not, get yourself some savage gloves, get yourself marksman damage. That's going to help you out. Jumping down to the holster is going to be, the major attribute is just the health. So this is straightforward. I've already spoke about this. So that's pretty much it for all the builds. Now let's quickly jump across and let's take a look at the weapons. So the first weapon of choice I'm going for is going to be the custom M44. Now you want to go for a marksman rifle because I've already spoke, we want to get as much headshot damage. Now natively on the marksman rifles, they come with headshot damage. This one in particular has got 164%, really nice buff. And then if we look at the base damage, you'll see on this marksman rifle, the custom M44, 172k. So I definitely recommend picking up the custom M44. I think it's a great sniper rifle. It's accurate, holds stability really well. It's definitely one to have for this particular build. Now the RPM as well is a factor, which is 55, and then you can obviously increase this. Being a bolt action, you want to try and get the bullets out as quick as you can. So it is a factor when you're actually looking at this particular build. And then jumping onto the talents you want is going to be brutal. So the headshot damage is increased by 12%. Because this is a marksman rifle and we're looking at headshot damage, try and get as much as you can. Excuse me. And then the third talent is competent, where the weapon damage is increased by 10% for 15 seconds after using a skill. So you can see we're going to pair this with a particular skill, and we're going to optimize for that competent and get that additional damage. Now jumping into the mods of this weapon, you'll actually already know what I'm going for. The VX1 scope, which has got the headshot damage, stability, optimal range. Go for as much optimal range as you can because you want to try and keep yourself distance from the enemy. Jumping across to my muzzle, headshot damage, critical hit chance. So this is what I was talking about before when I was saying I've got a bit of critical hit damage within this build because I've got the crit hit chance coming off the muzzle. Then when I go across to my underbarrel, my small grip has got crit hit damage, and I've got stability, optimal range again. Make sure you go for the optimal range. And then my magazine is going to be magazine size 110, crit hit chance, and then rate of fire. So you're trying to use that crit hit damage wherever you can by just increasing a little bit of crit hit chance onto this build. So that's the main weapon. This is what you want to be using all the time. Now my second weapon is the LVOAC. The reason I carry this weapon, firstly, is an assault rifle and they carry enemy armor damage. And secondly is going to be the base damage. On this particular build, I've got 27.1k, and then it's obviously going to be the RPM, which is 850, including the magazine, is going to be close to 900. So you want to try and get this and use it in a scenario where you get trapped behind the enemy lines, or there's an enemy trying to flank you and you just want to get out of there. But use it in conjunction with your nimble and you will survive, and this will save your life, because trying to use a custom M44 when there's an enemy flanking you is very hard, and it's a very slow weapon. Jumping down to the talents, the first one is going to be brutal. Again, headshot damage, so you can see where I'm going with this because this build's aimed towards headshot. And then talent, for the third talent, sorry, is going to be competent. So obviously using that skill that we're going to be optimized on this build, you're going to use the competent and get the increased damage. So jumping into the mods, first one, VX1 scope. Again, headshot damage, crit hit chance. And then going across to the muzzle, headshot damage, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. going to the underbarrel, it's going to be crit hit damage, optimal range, stability, then the magazine, 110, and then I've got 3% crit hit chance and rate of fire. So I'm trying to, again, use the crit hit damage where I can do by putting some crit hit chance in this, but obviously I'm going for the headshot, which is my main focus, and then you just want to use this, like I've said, when you're trying to get away from the enemy. Now, the sidearm that I actually take with this build is the 93R. This isn't critical to the build, so I'm not really going to cover it, but that's pretty much it for the weapons. So now jumping across into my abilities, and the first one is going to be my skill tree. The first skill I take is the overdose. Now the reason I take the overdose is because it comes with an overheal. Now you want as much health available to you because you're very, very squishy. And I take this over the booster shot. I know a lot of people say, why don't you take the booster shot for the increased damage and the mitigation? It's not going to be as good as having that additional overheal, and being so low and having such high skill power, you're going to have an overheal anyway. So definitely take the overdose. Now the second one is going to be your damage, which is going to be the recon pack, which is a pulse. Now the reason I go for the recon pack firstly is because of the cooldown time. You can actually see on the recon pack it's 36 seconds compared to the standard pulse, 49 seconds. The scrambler is 49 seconds, and the tactical scanner is 54 seconds. So go for the recon pack. You're going to have the most uptime on this, and you're going to do the most damage. Also, in conjunction with this, because it's got the critical hit chance, and before I was talking about the critical hit damage on the build, this is going to pair nicely, and every so often you're going to land them crits, and it's going to do a shitload of damage. Now, the final talent is obviously going to be the recovery link. The reason I go for the recovery link is it automatically procs when you're running solo, and you want to be farming solo so the enemies don't scale on a team of 4. So always take the recovery link. It's going to be a lifesaver, and anytime you do get in a real bad situation, you can just rely on this and get yourself out. So that's pretty much it for the skills. Jumping across to the talents tree, the first talent is going to be critical save. So you use a med kit during low health to increase your damage resistance. Obviously, you want to try and have as much resistance when you get yourself in a bad situation to take critical save. The second one, this is really important, is tactical advance. So you complete a cover-to-cover move to increase your weapon damage by 2%. This is going to be really useful, especially in conjunction with the nimble. If you're getting away from a firefight, you're going to increase your damage. If you do spin around and you decide to take an enemy, you're going to have an additional buff. But also, when you pair this with the third talent, which is the evasive action, when you are in that cover-to-cover move, your incoming damage is reduced by 30%. So if you pair all these three together, your nimble, your tactical advance, and the evasive action, you're going to be able to tank a lot more and do a lot more damage. So these three are essential to this build. And the final one is going to be the precision. This is more of a backup. You've got a choice here. You could either go for precision or you could go for one is none. I go for precision. Can't speak. Headshot hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. So if you do hit a hostile that's so strong and it doesn't take them down in the first instance, you know you've got an additional pulse on top of the pulse you've already used. And then obviously this is going to get you the additional damage and drop that enemy. So that's pretty much it. Now, just to recap over everything, the first thing I want to go back to is going to be the damage. Now, the key things you're going to need is roughly 9,000 firearms. You want to get yourself up to 9,000 or above if you can do. Secondly, is going to be the reckless chest piece. Always take the reckless chest piece because you've got that increased damage. Third is going to be the MC skull gloves. Now, obviously, I'm talking about an exotic when you're supposed to be farming the exotics. As a replacement for MC skull gloves, go for the Savage. But until you do get the MC skull gloves, because it's 16% additional damage, I'm definitely going to recommend these. And finally is going to be tactical advance. It deals so much damage just going from cover to cover, and then pairing this with a nimble is going to be so strong. Now moving on to the weapons and the talents again. The weapon you want is the custom M44. You want to try and stack as much headshot damage as you can, and then obviously the talents that you want is going to be brutal, which is going to give you that headshot damage, and competent. As soon as you use your talent, you're going to have additional 10% damage. These are the things you need to go for on your weapon. So that's just the custom M44, headshot damage, competent, and brutal. Now, obviously, for the build, as I've already stressed, the major component is going to be the knee pads, the accomplished knee pads, which is going to reward on your accolades a triple. And then obviously it's going to be in conjunction with the increased kill XP across all your gear. So make sure you stack as much increased kill XP as you can. Get yourself some prototype firearms mods with the increased kill XP. And you'll actually see, if I go to my character sheet, you'll see I'm up to 120%, or near enough, 117%. So every time I get a kill, I get a buff of 117%. Then when this goes onto the knee pads, because the accolades are tripled, you actually see this get tripled. It's so effective at farming. So what I'll do now is I'll jump across to show you actually farming. And I'll show you the techniques that I actually use, and I'll give you some live gameplay. Now, the first method of farming I'm going to show you is going to be the open world bosses. Now, this is very easy. What you see on the screen right now is actually a map displaying where all the open world bosses are. Use this gear set yourself up on a nice route where you can do it as optimal and as quick as possible. and then get through these world bosses. These have a high probability of dropping you an exotic item. And in particular, Bullet King has been my favorite. He's really easy to do, and every time I do jump on, I just quickly run over to him and just quickly kill him, and then later on I might complete the full farm. But yeah, if you do the full farm, you're pretty much going to get yourself an exotic. But beware, you can't just keep farming this. There is a caveat to it. Every 4 hours, the bosses will respawn. So you just complete this once every day, or if you've got chance, try and do it twice a day. Second one is going to be the Dark Zone supply drops. Now, I wouldn't use this particular build, which I've just shown you. I'd go for something a lot stronger. If you actually look at my other videos, in particular the defense set, take that in with you, get yourself a Dark Zone supply drop, and you've got a chance of getting yourself a Thompson. Now, also you can pull out a Ninja backpack. They're not very useful, so I wouldn't really keep hold of a Ninja backpack. Well, try and keep one for the moment in your stash, and then we'll see what happens in the future, but you want to go for the Thompson. The third is going to be the high value targets. These are really easy. All you need to do is go and collect some intel outside in the open world, head yourself back to the base of operations, select yourself a high value target, and then just take them down. This has got a chance, again, another high chance of getting exotic items, and I've been very lucky with this. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is going to be the DLCs. Now, I know everybody's got the DLCs, so that's why I've left it to this point, but if you do have the DLCs, the first one is going to be the Last Stand. Now, the Last Stand game mode was introduced in 1.6. Every time you complete the Last Stand, you've got a chance of pulling out cash, which could have an exotic item inside. I've only been successful with 2 items so far. I don't see it every single time, and I've played a lot of games of Last Stand, but it's still a probability of pulling out exotic items. The second is going to be Survival. Now, I love Survival game mode. I think it's brilliant. Now, again, it's just going to be a probability. Not every time you're going to get an exotic, but if you do enjoy the Survival game mode, it's another way of actually farming the exotics. And then obviously the third one is going to be the Underground. Once you hit that level 40 and you surpass that level 40, you'll receive an Underground cache. Every time you get an Underground cache, there's a high probability you'll pull an exotic out. So that's pretty much it for the DLCs. Now, there is some special missions which you can do if you're looking for particular items. Now, the first one is going to be the Napalm production site. Now, this actually gives you Pharaoh's Mask. All you need to do is farm the Napalm production site over and over, and you've got a high probability of pulling out the Pharaoh's Mask. Now, obviously, you can get the Pharaoh's Mask in other options, but this is a nice, easy way if you just wanted to control yourself and go for the Pharaoh's Mask. The next one is obviously going to be the knee pads, which is the short bow knee pads, which you get from the Madison Field Hospital. And Madison Field Hospital is my preferred method of farming field proficiency caches. I actually do this on hard, and all I do is set myself up with the build I've just shown you, and I run through this as quickly as possible. It's super easy. You can get as many headshots as you can. You just fly through this mission, and it's a really nice mission. I enjoy this one. You get a lot of XP, a lot of field proficiency caches. Sometimes I'll get 2 per run, and then you've got a high probability of pulling out their knee pads. Third is going to be the General Assembly, which is going to give you the Colonel Bliss holster. Now, I got lucky. I got my Colonel Bliss just by farming the open world. And I've actually trying to get this one as well from the General Assembly. Not been so successful, but obviously this is another way of actually getting the Colonel Bliss if you're looking for it. And then fourth is the one that everyone hates, is the Lexington Event Center, and this is for the Barrett's chest piece. This one I have farmed to death, and in my previous video you saw the excitement when I finally got my first chest piece, but it's still there if you did want to go for the Barrett's chest piece, and there's always one way of getting it. So I hope this video has been good for you guys, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it does help you guys out, and if you did enjoy the video, a like would be super appreciated. But until next time guys, I'll catch you in the next one.